We're live.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Scott in the frozen north.
It ain't too bad. It's supposed to be warm this week.
Oh, and we have a third face on our board today.
Hello, everybody.
Sean,
My name is Sean.
an expert in Democratic canvassing and getting the votes out. Bring in your expertise.
Yeah, he's been in the field. He's been in the field, and Truth in Advertising. Sean and I used to work together. That's how I found him, and he's continued on with the same kind of data-driven, on-the-ground work. So, you want to explain what you do?
Sure. Yeah, I first started doing this kind of work back in 1998. I was in the mud. Basically, I was a canvasser right out of college, and then the work was interesting. There was also a data and a research side to it, which I really liked. And 25 years later, you're still doing it. Everything's changed, of course. Technology and all that has changed every single aspect of this work, except for one, actually talking to people part. And that's the part that I think gets left out of the conversation, especially when you're talking about budgets. Like, you can spend so much on postage with these campaigns. Like, $250,000 on postage is not an unusual amount of money. And you can knock on, and that's all going into recycling bins. But whereas if you knock on a door and you talk to somebody, you learn a lot more. And that's the stuff that my company, my group does. And I'm blessed, actually. All of us on the team have over a decade or more experience. It's like, I think I did the math. It's like 80 years if we added everybody together. So the other part of why I enjoy doing this is the people that I get to work with are just top notch. And if they're still doing it, and then they've been doing it, they really do know their stuff. And without that, you don't stand a chance. You got to have a good team, just like anything. But but that's actually why I got into it. I just like working with the people. It's interesting to, when you hear a lot of stuff, but then when you actually talk to people and you do the math, you're like, that's not at all what's happening. People aren't just one issue voters anymore, I don't think. I think people got lots of problems, and they're more than happy to vote on any of them. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of right now is, just to go into, generally speaking, we're looking at moving over, I guess, the next 12 months. I see every campaign on the Democratic side talking about Roe, and that's what they'll be talking about. It'll be Roe, Roe, Roe all day long. And that's necessary because at the end of the day, without body autonomy, you don't have liberty. So it doesn't matter what your taxes are. It doesn't matter if there's a rail line or a gas line or if your power works, or nothing matters if you don't have body autonomy. None of it matters. So when people talk about, the abortion issue is going to be a big issue, it is going to be a huge issue. And it's going to come with lots of other issues with them. Because when you start taking away people's rights, and those people are very used to having those rights, you're going to pay for it. And I think the Republicans doing what they did with those 3 Supreme Court justices, that, I was Mitch McConnell all the way, 100%. And he had, a convenient moron in the White House. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me they're going to get the response they're going to get. I think that you can't but expect an equal and opposite reaction, and I think we're seeing that. I mean, Ohio, what? Yeah, no, I mean, on that Tuesday, on election day, that night, I'm sitting there with my business partners, and we're all huddled around our phones looking at the numbers coming in, and we're starting to hear stuff in Ohio. You're hearing stuff coming all over, and you're like, all of us immediately just looked up, and we knew it was going to be one of those weird nights where this happens sometimes, but rarely does it happen on an off cycle. And if this is what the off cycle looks like, Tuesday was the reckoning bell for a lot of candidates that probably jumped on the crazy train a little bit too hard. And I really do feel like that they've upset so many voters in so many different groups that it's easy. It's an easy vote to make. They didn't give them a reason not to do it, and they gave them a whole reasons to do it. And yeah, so that's honestly what I see happening in every state. I mean, in different states will operate different ways because all politics is local. But you're going to see a lot of new ideas, a lot of young women running and winning, and not winning by a little bit. We've seen that basically. The 2018 cycle was huge with that, and we saw it again in 2020, and that was like COVID and crazy. 2022 did what it did, and now this was 2023. This wasn't even supposed to be anything, and it was. So 2024 is going to be. It's going to be a lot of people participating in those elections, which means that those campaigns are going to cost more money. So that's going to be the other thing we're going to see. And we're already seeing just a lot of money being poured in already for 2024. And it's not secret. I mean, New York Times talks about it. And that's just the beginning, So are there any questions or anything specifically?
Yeah, there is. I mean, it's like Nancy, Jean, and I were getting into that energy of Virginia a while ago. We always have people that think about the worry about polls and if we're going to have a democracy, all that. And we were talking about it. And we're watch Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
We will know the answer after the Virginia elections, and we got it.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats won.
It's not going to be, and they wouldn't. And I mean, and some of the races were tight. But some of the state house seats that we took were tight. It was the early voting in mail-in really was very, very helpful to all, because those races were so tight that the extra 500 or 600 mail-in ballots that they were able to get, or that extra few hundred extra people show up in early voting. And early voting is great because campaigns actually pay attention to who's voted during early voting. They don't know who you voted for, but they know that, hey, we talked to that person 3 times and they just voted. So what campaigns can do, and what that technology lets us do, is it lets us redirect the money so we can save money on postage. If I know you voted, I don't have to spend money telling you to go vote again if I'm paying attention and my computers are all doing what they're supposed to be doing. And in the life of a campaign, you can almost offset the cost of the technology to implement that kind of money saving. It offsets. So you're gonna run a more efficient campaign. You're not gonna waste any money, and it just trickles right down through all your data. That's why I believe in canvassing so much. It's the last thing. It's all we've got left. Canvassing. I mean, social media is a lot of noise. Once you've got buy-in, it's great. Works. It's a good way to get people organized and meetings together and all that stuff. It's awesome. But they got to have buy-in, and there's a lot of noise out there. So if you got to get buy-in, there's got to be something else. Then there's phones, and phones were great a long time. I started doing phone work when I was 9 or 11 or somewhere in there. And
that may have been how we met.
that might have been. And so we the phones were great. We get 15-20% response rate. That's 1 in 5. That's really good in this business. It's amazing. Your ROI was nice. You could do it even when it rains. Phones were awesome. And then phones got smarter, and now they're really smart. And now if you're doing cold calls and you're not a zip code anyone recognizes, you're not going to get a pickup. If you're doing phone banking and you're getting more than 2% response, you're doing great. It's 1 out of every 50, and you're doing great. I've seen it worse than that. So the only thing that's really left in a way to communicate, because mail kind of goes into the recycling bin, is actual on the ground, talking to people, knocking on the doors. For one thing, you find out, do they still live there? You find out the house is even still there. I mean, I've come up to empty lots and I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure the voters aren't here anymore. It's like nothing's left. But all that's very valuable in a campaign, because now I don't waste postage. And you can spend $5 in the life of a campaign on postage just trying to talk to a candidate, a specific voter. You can imagine if, as a field program goes out there and knocks on 30,000 doors, does all this ID work, how much more efficient your mail is going to be, because you have already vetted, whole chunks, and you'll know where you'll need to go heavy with mail. Like the biggest problem I saw in Virginia for some of the other candidates, and we all saw it in the fields. Again, this is not a secret. The gated communities, they're difficult for our canvassers to go into, and I wouldn't want to put my canvassers in a position where they have to deal with security and stuff like that, even though we're not soliciting. And we do all the background stuff. Our company does a good job of making sure that the people we have are the people, and they're all college students, really. So they can't go in. And there's lots of voters in there. I can see them. I know. I look at the data. The data says, look at all these voters. And I can't go in there. So all that leaves me is mail, phone, and social media. And I think that it takes a combination of all that, plus field, to really solidify the vote, to gather find out what's on their minds and what issues are the biggest. And I'll tell you straight out, what's not going to surprise anyone in Central Virginia, they like the $15 minimum wage. They love that idea. They, of course, want women to have reproductive rights. And another big one for them was family leave when there's an illness, which I think is something that's left over from COVID, that became a real thing that affected so many people all at once, that I think that's still in there, and it should be. Your wife gets sick or your kids get sick. I've been there. It's hard. So those are the issues that Central Virginia cares about, and I'll bet money that you could take those issues and that would work just about anywhere. And at the end of the day, people would like an honest, fair wage. They want to be able to control their bodies, and if a family member gets sick or they get sick, they can take care of them. It doesn't seem like a big ask. And the voters keep asking.
Yeah, what is it like? Let's say we as a community just go somewhere or whatever. What's a good way to open the door for someone to open up that isn't aggressive?
Oh, so there's a lot of strategies. So we do a lot of role playing for training our canvassers, right? And I can do angry old dude very easily, but we all take turns, and it's fun, and you kind of you understand that. And the analogy I use, and it works. Every front door is like a hand of poker, and the door has a lot of tells. You can tell, is the yard well up? maintained? Is there like a little plaque that says "Welcome, the Williams family"? If you look at your information and you say, "Oh, what Williams," and the Williams family is the family I'm looking for. I've got 2 adults that are in their 40s, and I got one that's registered here around 20 years old, and they're all Williams. So this is already the house I know these are registered voters at. So I haven't even knocked on the door, and I've got that information. So then we tell them to knock, and then you step back, and you listen. And some people just don't open, and that's fine. Keep in mind, we've already identified the house as the house, and these are the voters, which is already very valuable. So already we're in a positive position as far as what happened at that front door. And our canvassers know to look for stuff like that, and for sale signs, and you can tell if a house is occupied or not. Those are also very, very valuable things that you gather that you can't do through social media. There's the U.S. mail's pretty good about keeping their when you say, "Hey, I need to move my mail to this other address," they're pretty good at keeping that up. So there's other ways you can gather that information, but there's really no true substitute for on the ground verified eyeballs on target verification. And so you read the door. And I tell my canvassers, if you feel any uncomfortable at all, don't. We got plenty of doors. Ain't no way we're never gonna run out of doors. And when we do, we just do those doors again. Because we'll run into a whole totally new different group of people. You canvass on a Saturday or a Tuesday, you'll talk to totally different people. You can canvass 2 Tuesdays in a row, same time, you'll talk to completely different people. And that's what's great about canvassing, and it's kind of random. And our sample sizes are huge. Give you an idea. The New York Times, and I love the New York Times, don't get me wrong. They put out a national poll last cycle, and I was like, I know they weight stuff. I know how all that works, but it's a national poll. You got like a sample size of under 700. I mean, that's what I would tell people, that just look at how many people they talk to. Is there like this one 18-year-old that they have to weigh at 16% of the vote because it was that one 18-year-old that actually answered their phone and talked? And who is that 18-year-old? And does that one 18-year-old represent all the 18-year-olds that are registering to vote? No way. I mean, I just think that's why when we see weird, things in our polling data versus what actually happens on the ground. And to be honest, the polling data is pretty good if you take it on the average and don't get hooked up on an outlier that's floating around out there, because you need outliers. They keep the average healthy. But they're definitely called an outlier for a reason, But yeah, so when we collect our data, we're very cordial. We make sure we're talking to the right voter, and I always find it very interesting. And if you're canvassing with the candidate, you're going to canvass half as many doors, twice as long, because everyone loves talking to the candidate. And I've done a lot of that. And I've got to walk with every age, every generation, from the boomers all the way to the millennials. I've canvassed with candidates that fit every single generation and everyone in between, and veterans and kids under 30, you name it. And I'll tell you right now, I am very excited about these millennial candidates. I've had nothing but really good experiences with them, and these ex-gen candidates aren't that bad either. But man, they're young. They just understand. They understand that an email isn't a way to communicate anymore. An email is a key to unlock a way to communicate in different ways with that person. It's not they understand that, and that's refreshing. But going back to canvassing, you learn a lot about your candidate when you do that with them. And in fact, I had a candidate. We had to get, I think it was 500 signatures, so we get on the ballot. And when you get signatures, you have to be able to verify that that's a registered voter in your district, and the voter registration's up to date, and there's all these things that you have to do. Well, we decided that we're just going to go do a normal field program, knocking on the doors, and just say, would you mind signing this petition so I can get on the ballot? And introduces herself, hands them a piece of material, and maybe we get an email. But one thing we did do is we canvassed the door. We basically saved ourselves about $4 a signature. And we get, so 500 signatures later, that's a good little bit of money. And we actually campaigned, and we knew what the voters were actually interested in, wanted to talk about, and even fundraised off of it randomly. So you learn a lot. Any candidate learns a lot. We had the nicest, most up with cleanest sheets Travis County had ever seen when we delivered our signatures, because they were, in street number name order, because we were, going through. So it was all insanely like you would never do that unless you canvassed. And that's what we told. We just built a field program and did it. And it works. I think most candidates should. I think it should be required for candidates. I don't think it's fair that you can just buy yourself onto the ballot. I think that it's just 500 signatures. I think it's a practice. I think that they do a lot of that in Massachusetts. They do a lot of old school on the ground caucusing in each town, canvassing stuff. It's very cool up there, very old school, and Texas is also very kind of old school in some ways. I still on occasion have to do a fax. Not kidding. It's a law. It's like a law. It's like a thing. It's like better than an email. It's better than anything except handing it in. It's a verification on your side and our side. This document went through at this time. It's very. I get it, but it's still old school. And but yeah. So needless to say, I don't know how many doors I've knocked on. Tens of thousands, probably way more than that. But everyone always asks how dangerous it is, and honestly, I mean, there's been a few times where I've had canvassers that had a negative experience, and you got to get thicker skin. I mean, people are going to slam their door. That's just that's a human being having a bad day. You can't take that personally, and we tell that to our canvassers. You're going to run into so many perfectly decent human beings having a bad day. Just move on to the next door. Don't take it personally. And you gotta get that mentality, because people are people, and you're meeting the people, and not everyone's having a great day. So I'm always the nicest person on my front porch. I've done it so much. I'm like, you need a bottle of water? What do you need? Let me help you out. And I also vote for every candidate that I meet on my front porch. Flat out. I mean, it's all judicials, and maybe state house level does that still here in Texas. But if I meet you on my front porch and it's August and you're canvassing, you get my vote. That's 112 degrees out there. That's crazy people weather. I love it. Yeah. It's I'll say about the Virginia race. One of the things that we talked about quite a bit, we lucked out so hard on the weather. It was the most beautiful 40 days of weather I could have asked for. We had like 2 days of rain, and one of the days was a good day. Like, it started raining, I guess, late in the afternoon. We'd had a banging morning and post noon launch of canvassers, and then the rain hit, and it was fine. I mean, it was not our worst day. So we really lucked out on the weather, and that gives you a lot of breathing room, because your canvassing is like you're out in it, the world. Everything that's happening out there is going to happen to you and your canvas team. So you got to be ready for that. I was blessed to be working with these individuals, all of these brilliant people, in Florida last cycle, when Hurricane Ian were right up the middle of my field program. And
the day it was supposed to start.
No, we started. We were weeks in, but you know what's even more fun than starting a canvas once is restarting a canvas. I mean, after getting just nailed. I mean, it was, and I'll tell you, man, it's like, I'll tell you, the canvassers that come out of Texas, the teams that do this that come out of Texas and Florida are automatically so hardcore. That's why we were in Virginia. Nothing scares us anymore. We don't. I mean, Texas will and Florida will try and. I mean, it does. They don't. It's not a friendly environment to operate in, and so Virginia was like, I had a day off. I could watch my Go Cowboys. By the way, I could watch my Cowboys on Sunday before a Tuesday, and I'm almost crying while it's happening. It was a rough game, but it was still a day that I didn't. Because they wanted us heavy on Monday and Tuesday leading into the election. It was great, but it never happens that way. Even when we even the people who said, "Hey, we need you to slow down a bit, and we need more." We have Monday and Tuesday. We're really looking to finish. I'm like, finish strong, and we're like, great. So we, it was nice. But that was the blessing. That's because you understand, it's like 30 days in a row. There's no days off normally. So when you get one, you really feel it on Monday and Tuesday leading to election, because those days are 18, 19 hours long. But you literally got to take a breath. And I felt the whole team just came in super strong. And that wasn't just us. Everyone had the same weather. Everyone had an incredibly good opportunity to knock on doors, and a lot of people took advantage of it. And I mean, we were bumping into other groups that were also doing what we were doing. But for different groups. I mean, everyone was out. Everyone took advantage of it. Virginia, like every day I would look up and I'd be like, it's 68 degrees and it's sunshine. You have no idea. We in Texas, we don't have fall. We have burning cinder and then giant waves of ice. In parts of Texas, we get all of our rain in May, which also happens to be when the municipal cycle in Dallas is. So it's April and May is just all the rain for the whole year. And so, so one of the funny things that I usually do when I go to any place I haven't been before, I look up the OSHA weather data and go and say, what's this place going to look like in 6 months, because that's going to have an impact on the work that I do. I have all the weather apps on my phone, because the last thing you want to do is put a canvasser in a position where they're, in danger. I mean, we can always canvas tomorrow. I mean, unless that's election day, then no, you can't. But so that's the other thing. I watch the weather. We all do every morning. Everyone on the team looks at the weather every morning. First thing, before we do anything, we look at the weather, because in Texas it'll just change on you. But Virginia was very consistent. It was nice. No hurricanes. It was brilliant.
Sean, who funded you?
Oh, well, we worked with the SEIU, service union. They were. It wasn't just us. Those guys worked so hard. Everybody. I mean, when everybody showed up. It wasn't. I mean, it was crazy. We had an event and we'd have everybody there. Everyone in the union would show up. Everyone's got purple shirts on. Everyone showed up. And then with the canvassers that we train and do this daily, and we work out all the kinks and, get the good canvassers and keep the good ones, and ask the ones that should go do other things to thank you. And, it's very cool. Everyone's there to work. And, but you really can see a difference this time. I mean, the quality of canvassers that we were working with just seemed to be better. And a lot of, they're all just college students, and we lucked out. we got one football player. He knew a bunch of other football players, and it was brilliant. And I mean, I love that, and it was very organic, and they enjoyed working together, and they're all in incredibly good shape. Like all of us of this age that have done this work all talk about our knees for a reason, because we've walked the earth, you know. But these guys got young knees, much better. They're faster than we were, I think. And so there's like so many things in Virginia that we lucked out. But the unions were just huge. And I mean, they were out there fighting for the $15 minimum wage, family leave, reproductive rights. And the candidates that believed in those things, they were just like, these are the candidates that said yes to these things. And that's honestly, you know, that, and just every time you turned on the television, there were commercials with Democrats talking about real issues. And we lucked out. We also had some incredibly good candidates. You don't usually get that lucky there. So like I said, it wasn't one thing, I don't think. There's plenty of good blame to throw around, you know. And you know, it's rare in a cycle that you can say that, and it feels good. It keeps me wanting to keep going back in and working, you know, 19-hour days for weeks on end, because you see that kind of stuff. And I got a daughter, and I want her to have, I want her to have the same rights that I enjoy, and that her grandmothers enjoyed and her aunts enjoyed, and that's just not the case right now. And that's not. And this is how those of us that love the work, this is why we do the work. This is why, because the money is not. I mean, you could go and do other things, you know, and make money like that. It's not the money. It's and the only people that would do it for as long as the ones that I work with have done it, it's because they come from truly a place of praise. So I'm a Unitarian Universalist. We believe in prayer through action, and I also take that into the field when I do this kind of work, and work with the different people that I work with. And it's every faith you can imagine, and some without any real particular church in mind, and everything in between. And so there's a lot of because it's very long days, and without even, you know, even the most hardened of us all definitely enjoyed some gospel music on the ride to work sometimes, because sometimes that's the level of energy you need to get through that whole day. And especially when it's Groundhog Day, every day is the same. You need extra help, and wherever that help comes from, that's where, you know, put it to good use. And that's what we did. I think what else? That's, you know, but Virginia was just a perfect storm of awesome. Every level, everywhere I turned, top tier, top notch people that cared, people from there, which is all politics is local. And, you know, they bring us in just for logistics and just because we've done the work. I mean, I remember when field programs were on 3x5 cards, and I tell that to these kids with these apps, and they're like, look at me like I'm scared. I frighten the ones because they know what that means, and they're like, how? I'm like, we did it. I mean, it's how you did it. You know, hard copy. During the 2008 cycle with Obama, it was all hard copy. There was an entire floor of Xerox machines. Just we knocked on 35,000 doors the day before the March 4th, that Saturday before the March 4th primary. That day. Insane. Insane numbers. 2008 was its own. I mean, we were all so happy when Obama won. You know, my boy right there. And we were so happy when he won. We were also so happy the campaign was over. Some of us have been, you know, some of us started at a coffee shop 18 months ago, you know, knocked on 2 cycles worth of doors, fielded, I don't even know how many volunteers. We had 6,000 volunteers somewhere around there. And that's the only time I've ever, that's, you can move anything you want with 6,000 volunteers. Doesn't, anything you want, for good and for bad, as we found, on January 6th. So it works both ways. We get 6,000 people that all want something. It's a pretty amazing force, and it should be used for good, which is what we try to do. Knock on doors and educate voters. That's all you can do. And and because 2024 is gonna be 2024, everyone's gonna vote, and a whole lot of new people. Honestly, I think the number of young women registering to vote right now should scare the living Jesus out of pretty much every Republican in this country, because Taylor Swift is a force to be reckoned with.
Yes, she is.
I'm sorry, they messed it up. They messed up, and they're about to find out. You know what I mean? It's like, it is the numbers that I'm seeing in places. So I have like my little canary in coal mine counties that I look at here in Texas. Anywhere you see a major corridor in any red state, I think there's meat on the bone. Like, so the I-35 corridor, 10, 45, those corridors are now turning into very large suburban areas. Huge, like bleed out from San Antonio all the way until it bleeds right into Austin, and bleeds right into Temple and Georgetown, all right up I-35. And there are now huge populations there with lots of females registering to vote. And these are counties that have been red forever. And these women are going to vote. And when I tell you that the Roe being overturned was in the Republicans, they're the dog that caught the car. They've been barking at that car for 50 years. They've raised trillions of dollars for campaigning over 50 years, easily, just on overturning Roe. That was their cash cow. That's how they brought in all their money. That's how they locked down their evangelical vote in the late 70s and early 80s. Ever since that moment, Karl Rove, you evil genius, they've been using that. Turned Texas red. Turned its red so hard, all the Republicans that are in power, like that have been in power, were all Democrats. That's how fast it was. And Rick Perry and all of them. So it was just next day, Reagan, Texas blue. Texas went from blue to red. Reagan, boom. That was it. And they've been using that and just beating the Democrats like a cudgel. They say if you vote for Democrat, you're going to hell because they, want abortions. And I've never been a Democrat that wants abortions. That's not even a thing. No one would want anyone to ever have to make any decision like that. But we don't live in a fantasy world. We live in a real world where people have to deal with real problems. And so I think that and I know for a fact, there are Republicans sitting in seats on those corridors in those red states, like I-35 in Texas, that are concerned, and that means that they're smart because they should be. Very concerned. There were already more women registered to vote before this went down, and all the women just got every one of their friends and all of their daughters to register to vote, and Taylor Swift told them to, so it's going to happen. And that's, I'm like, I'm just happy to be on this side, guys. I mean, I wouldn't want to be on the other end of that. I really wouldn't. I do not. Yeah. I mean, it's super. You know how bad it is when a Democrat's like, "No, I don't want to be a Republican in Texas right now. You guys go have fun with that." That's when you're like, it's gonna be rough. They're gonna learn a lot. They're gonna learn a lot. It's gonna be fun watching them learn, and I hope to be there to help them learn.
You'll be there.
They're gonna. I hope so.
What do you see? We had a bunch of questions about
Sure.
2024, and we both worked in this, so you understand what I understand is we need to start working on 2024 like now. But there's no way to predict because so many weird things can happen. One person mentioned in the chat, scientists think there's going to be this huge solar surge that's going to knock out the internet for a while. Well, that'll change everything.
Yep. It's gonna, yeah. Well, the great thing about canvassing is that you need a list, you need paper, you need boots on the ground. And you can pretty much, I mean, Nancy, we did it without GPS back in the day. You know?
Oh, God. We used to send walkers out. I sent a woman out.
Listen, guys, we were doing it when there was MapQuest. All right? We were using MapQuest. Yeah. I mean, for example, the Excel version of Excel that we used in 2008 was the 2003 Office Excel because that's what we had. And that was all we had. Well, back then, it only went down 65,000. And that's, you're like, oh, that's a lot. Well, yeah, that's a lot. It's actually not. There's 1.2 million registered voters in Dallas County. So 65,000 is not very much. The good news is, except for one state house district back then, almost every state house district of other voters that we wanted to target could fit in just under 65,000. And that's just, and I mean, and that was a breakthrough. That was the good days. It wasn't like the dark 3x5 on a metal ring, you know, and that's how you keep your walking field program.
What was the factor? We used to have to use a fork to hold the key down. So because because the data we would get from the counties were so archaic, and I mean, even though there's a DBF file, it's just it's effectively just text as a file, and you have to. So back then we had to bring it in through Access, reformat it, and then export it as an Excel file, and then I could actually get to my data. But I'd have to keep it in Access because, like I said, Excel only went to 65,000, and now I've got 1.2 million. So I had to clean it out using Access, and then each state house district individually drop it into an Excel file. And that's how we mobilized 6,000 volunteers in Dallas County. Yeah, I remember doing it.
Yeah, it's terrible. Remember the hard copy field program that I'm not going to say who, but sent to the printer without putting it in the road number, road name order?
Yeah, we
had to manually put it in the order it needed to be in.
I remember that. I had sorters all over my house when we were working on that project.
Collators.
Anyway,
so it's come a long way, technology-wise. You're right. Big giant electrical storm. We lose the internet. My field program still works because it's as old school. I mean, that's the kind of thing. We've come full circle. I think field knocking on people's door and talking to them about running for office is, I think, how it started back in the Stone Age. I think this is how it began. And all the technologies, everything, computers and combustion engines, and all that it brought has changed this work completely until it doesn't. And at the end of the day, you still got to go talk to the person. So in a post-internet apocalyptical, sun-bleached landscape, you can still do canvassing, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, Deanne has been doing here. She's in our chat here, and she's been doing a canvassing up in her area.
Oh, very good. Oh yeah, no, you'll find people are very, very. I've always, you can always have a negative thing. I mean, we had that Rottweiler that blew through that window during that municipal race. Yeah, that wasn't even like that wasn't even the lady there that had the dog. I mean, just the dog went crazy. So it's not even just the people at the doors you got to really worry about. It's everything. But the people, honestly, are the ones I worry about the least. what worries me the most, honestly, is the danger factor. And by danger factor, I mean uneven sidewalks. I've injured more candidates and I've had more canvassers hurt by 100 to 1 because of uneven sidewalks.
Oh gosh.
That is the most health risk. It is. I mean, it's the most constant, ever-changing dynamic in the whole process. So when I look at canvassing, I'm like, what is the math from door to door? What is the I call it the density of our canvassing program. What is our density? So the distance between each door is the real algorithm. Because I kind of got a how many doors are going to open versus not kind of situation. I got enough math on that. But what changes is the distance between those doors. So that's one of the things that we stare at in the spreadsheets constantly, because this is the business. We get paid to do this, and it can kill a campaign. Nothing kills a campaign like not enough targets. It's a numbers game. You want to be heavy on targets. It's okay to knock on 15 doors on one street. In fact, it's great. I always tell candidates, make sure you canvass the precinct that your opponent lives in, because you will find all of your best friends and his worst enemies within 100 yards of his front door. I guarantee it.
We always made money when we walked.
When
we walked down the street that the candidate lived on, we always had neighbors writing us checks
on the front porch. Yep. That's fact. It happened too many times for it to be. It was just a thing that happens. I mean, yeah, it's true. I would say, I was like, hey, this can happen. He's like, you'd be surprised. And some of them were like, some of them just gave us money because we had the balls to canvass down, the street that the candidate. And this is politics. It's voting. It's not blood sport, really. I mean, it feels like it sometimes, but it's all about talking to voters and talking about issues. For Gore, cool. Spaceship Earth.
You can't believe that's still a thing. That Democrats are going to take the guns away and you're going to kill a baby at 9 months.
Yeah, that's Karl Rove's handiwork there. My favorite political photo on the planet is a picture of him and two of his friends behind these giant reel-to-reel hard drives from the 70s.
Yeah.
And on those hard drives was the membership of every evangelical church in Texas and the entire voter reg for Texas.
And he ran.
And wherever there was a gap, they went to that church and said, guns and killing babies. And that's how Karl.
That's how they got.
That's how they did it.
Here. We met. Karl Rove invented his micro-targeting with another guy, and Sean and I actually met him in Austin. He lives in a little farmhouse on the edge of the hill country in Central Texas, and he doesn't have to get him to work with you is really hard. But he doesn't work with Karl. I mean, the two of them invented it, and Karl took it and ran and made lots of money. And this guy hides on his farm, and he helped us with a candidate. But it was real interesting when he talked about how they developed micro targeting. For those of you that don't know, means at the time they could get every magazine you subscribed to. If you belonged to PBS, kind of where your money went. If you went to church, they get all those facts together, and they could draw a profile of what attributes a certain person wanted that they wanted to get to, and they went and targeted them and went for them. So if you belong to an evangelical church, the NRA, some parents concern group or animal rescue, something like that, they'd come after you and they'd suss out whether you had the right mentality. And they just created a whole army of people like that. And the first
and they did it with mail. I mean, they did this. We're talking the late 70s. They did it with mail and dial-up phones. I mean, old school, but we're talking about calling people on the phone, hanging on the wall with the cord, the home phone.
Yes, I remember those days.
Yeah. I work with people who have never even used a rotary phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a million years old. I'm a million.
And
or a typewriter.
Yeah, the first call out machine I ever used, the first bank I ever used, it was a church that was a very conservative church, but it had a similar issue about how we were funding public transportation in Dallas. So they lent us their call banking services.
Ann's wondering about, is she like the only one afraid to display a sign or bump a sticker?
It depends on where you live. I hate to be that way, but I mean, crazy people everywhere. Yard signs aren't so bad. I mean, again, it depends on who the candidate is on the yard sign.
Mm-hmm.
We had people who in my neighborhood during the Trump administration had Trump flags on their flagpoles because people in Texas have flagpoles. And they had their Trump flag and they got graffitied, of the, Nazi variety. So I don't at all condone that at all, obviously. And I wouldn't never participate in anything like that. It's probably just kids, in my opinion. But also, I mean, context is everything. And Trump administration was pretty bad. So, I mean, but nothing ever excuses that behavior. Bumper stickers, I've actually talked to a couple of people over the years, and a lot of people don't put bumper stickers on their car because of resale value, I think. But and then when the ones who do seem to be all about it, I don't think you can go halfway on a bumper sticker. I think you got to have other parts of the conversation happening. And oh yeah, this is my candidate.
I have a story about bumper stickers. I worked with a guy at Channel 13 Public Broadcasting, and he ran for school board. So I helped his campaign because he had helped me a whole lot when we were at Channel 13 together. It was Rene Castillo. And he ran against an old school politician who only was on the school board because he wanted the boasting rights. He hadn't done anything. So anyway, we were running against him. I never thought about it. I put the bumper sticker on my car. 2 years later, Renee won, but 2 years later, this guy tries to drive my husband and I off the road.
Oh, good Lord.
And we managed to get into a parking lot and we're driving around. We had a little bitty car and this guy was in a Cadillac. So we could outrace him going around in a circle. And I saw a place where people were in a office. And I jumped out of the car and went in and called the cops. This was before cell phones. And we called the cops and they came and we had the helicopters and the cop cars. And anyway, the Cadillac broke through some barricades that were on the property and went roaring off, but they caught him. And it ends up he was the nephew of the guy Renee had beaten. And he was drunk. And he took exception to our bumper sticker. You talk about random. and they tried him. He went to jail.
Yeah, I would imagine assault with a vehicle is pretty bad. Yeah, so that's probably not a normal experience.
No, I just tell people,
people are just scraping their bumper stickers off their cars as they're talking.
Right. I still have my Beto for Senate.
Yeah, Beto.
I put a Wisconsin Dems on my car. I went to a event a few weeks ago there for the Wisconsin Dems, and they had some national celebrities come. They had I Am Politics girl and Brian Tyler Cohen came.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I listened to them, and we got a Democrat sticker. But yeah, it's kind of annoying. You see these bumper stickers and tread on me flags all over places, and We go to these rural areas, you see, like our governor is Tony Evers, and they have these stickers and stuff and yard signs that say "worst governor ever," and it's still Trump 2024 stuff all over the place. But the flags are just horrible, especially the racist dry throat things, like "don't tread on me" and the QAnon stuff. Rural areas can get kind of scary.
And I'll tell you, one of the reasons I actually like municipal races, because you get a little bit of a break from the donkey elephant show, Democrat Republican stuff, and it's nice to kind of do different things sometimes, and municipal races allow you to do that sometimes, because you don't have 900 cooks in the kitchen. You can get a lot of too many cooks sometimes, and it's part of it. I mean, it's not even like it's a bad thing. You need all the cooks, But it's a thing, and you've got to be prepared to understand that there's going to be stops and gaps and things that can't be controlled, and understand that the rules will just change. The types of reports you'll be putting out will just change, because you get a better idea of what is actually going to be useful, whether it be them trying to collect data from media buys or whatever. So you never know, but I understand the whole. I'm obviously a Democrat. I was raised Democrat, and I'm a white male. I'm not what all the other Democrats look like. I don't fit that. I mean, at my work, I'm the only one, and I've never. That's kind of been my whole life anyway, because I grew up in Dallas, and all my friends were Hispanic or African American then. And then when I moved to Guam, all my friends were Polynesian and something else. There weren't many 6-foot kudukualis is what they call us in Guam, crazy white people, walking around the 26 Guam legislature back then. I guarantee you, I was the only one. And that might be a whole nother video if you don't know how that all went down. But that's where I started. So yeah, right.
That's great.
Yeah. But we feel like it's there's a level of guilt. You guys have no idea. It's just, I feel terrible. I promise I'm voting. I'm also going to help everyone else vote, because I got to make up for a ton of just real buttheads. It's a lot of them. They all look like me. Sucks.
Oh, some funny comments. Wheezy's got a bumper sticker that reads, "Sorry, I missed church. I've been practicing witchcraft and becoming a lesbian." And people yell.
Yeah. I know a lot of Unitarian Universalists, and that's I see it when I go to church on Sundays, which I would normally be doing today, but this was also I've been gone for 5 weeks, so the last thing I wanted to do was leave my house. But when I go to church, you see those bumper stickers everywhere. Also, they're real quick to remind everybody where Christmas came from, and all of the post Roman Christianity stuff. But yeah, I love those bumper stickers. I think if you put a bumper sticker on I have bumper stickers, but I put them on my computer. You can't see them because it's on the other side. But I open up my computer and people will I'll feel like I'm being stared at. They're just reading all the rando crazy stuff I've got. And it's layers, my computer just gets thicker. And eventually it'll be a protective case. But so I have lots of stickers, but I like microbreweries. And when I travel, I make sure I grab a sticker from those guys. I use it. So, bumper stickers are great, but I don't I don't drive all that much, believe it or not. And yeah, so but definitely on my computer is where I keep all my stickers. And I get approached all the time in coffee shops. All the time.
We have a question, Sean. It's from Spirit Beyond the Stars. What's going on with Oklahoma's voting registry? Well, we're still trying to figure out what's going on in Oklahoma. So,
Right.
someone can be registered here, get to vote, and the next time they show up, they don't get to. And when you call them, they say you are not. So, what we do in Dallas, because we have a governor that periodically raids the voter registry, we tell everybody call up until the day that you have. We have a long lead time from when you have to register to when you can vote. But call them up and make sure you're still registered. You can look it up on a computer, and I don't know what it's like in Oklahoma, but you look up on a computer, and if you take a picture of that, it's date stamped in your phone. And they can argue with you all they want, but if your name was on the registry that day, then you're registered to vote. And the other thing is report every incident you run into, whether it's Oklahoma or anywhere else, because that's the only, and there are lawyers. Every single state has a contingency of lawyers that are pro bono trying to help voters get to vote.
I'd also like to add the League of Women Voters always has a game. They have the best voter information that I've really seen through my travels, and I've seen them operate in multiple different states, and they're always just they did their homework. And if you have a problem with your voter registration, then they will. I mean, they'll give you the websites. I always go to whatever county you're in. Go to your elections office, the website, your county elections. Just Google your county name, county elections. It'll pop up. Not all county websites are created equal. Some are suspiciously confusing. Like, why would you do that unless you didn't want people to actually know in the election? I mean, this stuff. It's in this business. It's not really the question. Is are you paranoid? It's are you paranoid enough? And a good, healthy level of paranoia when dealing with this stuff is fine. In fact, I recommend it. I always check your voter registration. Make sure you're getting it. I don't know if they send the Oklahoma the card in the mail. We get that. That's very convenient. The other thing is a lot of times it's connected to your driver's license or your state ID. Because if you just check that checkbox saying, yes, I'd like to register, sometimes they have that there. So you can go into the DMV with your license and go, hey, I'd like to register to vote. And they should be able to do it there. They can also do it in any county elections office. On the spot, just have to have ID and they can do it. There is the ID issue is an issue, I find, with registered voters. Some people they just don't have ID. A lot of people that are very poor, and just through circumstances beyond, just life being life, they've lost their ID or what have you. Getting all that stuff is such a pain, and like registering to vote's the last thing on their list. So states that do register people to vote when they get their IDs done, that's probably the biggest, best thing that as a democracy we could do. And that's, so I see a lot of that. What else? But League of Women Voters, they're always good. They always know what they're talking about. And I imagine they're going to be busy this year. So,
and voting early helps, because if they tell you early, you have time to go straighten it out.
Right. Well, yeah, no, if you got 2 weeks lead up for early voting, you go there and you're like, whoa, what's up? You can do what's called provisional ballot, and which basically gets you to vote. You get your vote cast, which is great because you're in now. And then you just have to be able to prove that you are who you say you are. And what happens a lot of times, it's random stuff like people who've gotten divorced. One will stay, and I've seen them attach the wrong name. Anyway, stuff happens. U.S. Postal Service filled with angels, and they work very hard. And anyone who's done this kind of work has to work with them quite a bit. And they're the hardest working people you ever meet. And they don't get enough love, but even they make mistakes. And so, yeah, you can have nefarious stuff like in Texas, they do a purge usually July of an odd year, somewhere in there. I don't know if they do that as much anymore, but they've done it. I've been there when they've done it.
They take off the dead people.
Yes. In theory, that's what they're doing.
They used to never take dead people off, and we ran an election in Dallas County, and there was 1.2 million voters at that point in time.
Yeah.
And when they purged the dead people, it went down to 960,000.
Yeah, there's like 200,000.
That's how many dead people were on the rolls.
It's a lot of dead people. And also voters tend to be older, guys. I mean, it's a math thing. So it's like, it will be disproportionately. You'll like. I think COVID in rural counties are going to be a big factor in statewide races, simply because COVID hit older populations harder, and whereas in cities and larger towns they can absorb that hit. Rural, they're already bleeding population before, and not all rural. Yes, there are exceptions, but by 2050, they're saying that 98% of everyone that's living in Northeast Texas is going to live within Collin, Denton, Dallas, and Tarrant County. Of those 4 counties, 98%, and the rest of it's cows, cows and wind turbines. So canvassing. Remember I talked about density and the doors needing to be closer? It's going to even be more useful. I love suburban canvassing. It's just they're uniform houses, so you can do predictive modeling better. How long will it take to canvass X types of, because once you've got at least 2 or 3 days of data, you know what your burn rate is, and you can make adjustments. You can either increase or decrease the density based on what you need to get done and what footprint you need to have. So that's what was probably the more interesting part of the Virginia program this past cycle was we came in to shore up a field program and get their field program back on schedule. So we were our boots on the ground. 48 hours later, we're canvassing. By the 10th, we were fully operational and plowing. Just it's always cart before the horse when you're doing campaigns. Field programs can be a lot the same way. Like you need material to leave on the front porch, so any gaps in that can affect your performance. Weather, I talked about extensively. I cannot even stress to you how much that affects your program. But what's great is I don't think canvassing is going away. I think it's the only thing that's only gotten better because of technology. Emails were great for a hot minute, but now it's like a big black hole. Mail just lines your recycling box. Yeah. Your bird cage or what have you. Phones are, you're just not going to talk to enough people. And then that leaves field, knocking on doors. That's it. And I've seen the last few cycles, I've seen the campaigns, they're starting to figure this out. They're redirecting money. It's all, one pie, and they got to put the money where they think it's going to do the most good. And I'm seeing a lot of people taking a second look at mail, and when they do drop mail, it's insanely targeted, extremely detailed. Like if you're getting a piece of mail about the importance of the environment, that's because they've said, okay, that's one of your big top issues, and we're going to mail to you on that issue, or it could be anything, traffic, public safety. There's all sorts of the nuts and bolts of what makes it work. So that's probably. I don't think field's going away. I think it's here, and I'm happy for it. I think it's the real on the ground, real work. Candidates are better candidates after they go canvassing with me. guarantee it, 100%. Also, you lose weight, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm 50 pounds. I had to go buy new clothes. I lost 50 pounds. So it's great. It's good for you.
Where's your next ground operation you'll be hitting it?
Well, we don't know where we're going next exactly. Although we suspect South Carolina, it being the new primary state, I'm sure it'll be very busy there for the first time ever. It'll be really interesting.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Well, but
yeah, because it's not like it's been New Hampshire forever, and this is the first time where you've got a very diverse state with all the cameras on it all at once. I can't imagine with that amount of tension. I'm not saying my firm will be there, but firms like mine will, of course. I have no doubt, and my firm might. But honestly, until I see the boarding pass, I'm like, okay, I'm going here next, and then that's where I go. I need to find a candidate in Hawaii. I just feel like I could go. Why I'm always so think about it this way. The primaries are in. Like Iowa is insanely cold in January.
I've been there. It's insanely cold.
Insanely cold. So I mean, there's but also they take all the thing, and that's the party's business, and God bless them for it. But I'm glad, and it'll be interesting to see how a state who has not had this opportunity before reacts. And a lot of times these primaries define what's happening moving forward. So it's going to be, it's going to be really interesting. And I look forward to, it's nice. So Groundhog Day comes up in campaigns a lot because there's 15, 20-hour days that kind of blur. And it feels like the same day over and over and over again. This will not be that. This will be something new, and people who've been doing this work for as long as we've been doing it, it's really interesting to see something new because you don't see new stuff often, and then sometimes you see it as bad. This could be this is going to be good no matter what.
2024 screens. Anyway, Sean, you told me to let you know when we hit an hour. We're over an hour, and you had your people you had to call with your.
Yes, I've got to go back to work. But this has been fun. I'm more than happy to come back and talk.
It's football Sunday. Wait a minute.
It is football. I'm wearing my Dallas Cowboy tie. So
no, I've seen Sean work. He can run databases and keep his eye on the goal line.
Oh yeah, this is what this eye's for right here. Although I got Aubrey and the Cowboys kicker is just money. That guy he's a savant. He's from soccer. And they're like, can you also kick a ball? He's like, through this, no problem. The guy's like a machine. My Cowboys are having a rough year. We're working on some kinks.
Yeah.
And
we've been doing that for years.
We have the Giants to play with today, so it's going to be a good day no matter what.
Don't get me started with the Packers. So.
Yeah, I guess we're going to leave Scott to mourn in the corner. We got some other.
You guys got blessed with so many of the most amazing quarterbacks in the history of football. You guys are allowed not to have good quarterbacks for a little while. It's okay. Yeah.
We're going to be there.
I feeling. All right. Well, thanks, Scott. Care. This was fun.
I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Sean.
Bye-bye. Well, it's just us.
Well, a few people are a little upset. We weren't tossing cards, so we better do a few, huh?
We better do a few things.
Get some inspiration.
Did you want to? Okay. Okay.
Biden's chances in Virginia. It's looking really good now, huh?
Yep.
It's too bad with Virginia couldn't woke up a little bit higher in canvassing. That Youngkin didn't come in, but in a sense, he helped the outrage to bring up what they got now. So
we're going to control your body at 15 weeks instead of 6. I mean, it's
they want to change the goalpost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Rose. Yeah, it was Nancy's great idea to bring bring him on, and it was very informative.
Well, it's easy. I mean, I can tell you all my stories, but my war stories go back to 2008, and we're long past things that have happened. So I hear from him what's going on, and it interests me. That's how I keep up with it. I keep up with my old friends that are in that field.
Well, it gets kind of cold in Wisconsin too, Violet. We're in the same zone. Biden, things are getting calmer. Oh yeah.
Yep, I got a yes. I got that. There's going to still be a lot of mismessaging about him, but he's got the Knight of Pentacles, which means he's going to have the money. He's got the people laying the foundation right now, and there he is, still sitting on the throne. And nothing's going to happen that we don't know about. There's nothing hidden in the corner. So I think they look good.
Yeah, I think this current cycle is really going to help because I
Mm-hmm.
get my sun card, everything
Mm-hmm.
coming brighter, angelic, things getting better, and then the Ace of Cups. It's all about abundance and life sources and celebrations. I am seeing money flowing in with 9-10 of coins, but I have something with a tower and a moon coming out, and it doesn't feel like democratic. I think it's also going to help with some
Right. I think.
some dark things coming out on the bad side. And in the
Mm-hmm.
end, I have the youth coming out with the Page of Cups,
Mm-hmm.
powerful messaging with the Page of Wands, and Knight of Coins too. The money coming in gradually, slowly dumping.
Mm-hmm.
I think Virginia's looking good for Democratic side.
Did you want to do Steve's question? The question about Bannon.
Oh yeah, Bannon. He's got appeal going on. Kind of like Navarro. It's like, really? They defied a subpoena.
I don't know why his butt isn't in jail right now. I mean,
Oh, because for some reason the court gave him a reprieve for an appeal.
they think he's not going to continue to run around and lie because they didn't put him in jail.
Yeah, that circuit court, that it shouldn't happen, but they did. And it's been what, a year? They allowed him to fart around, and then they gave him an appeal because he lost his lawyer. Waiting.
Okay.
Steve Bannon. Oh, they're showing me he's going to prison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to start turning him into martyrs now.
Oh yeah, first card.
Oh God.
10 of swords. I got the cops kind of get him a tower. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's gonna. Everything he did in the past is coming to light, and I think there's more coming on him too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said, is this going to turn out well for Bannon? All this waiting. Got the 4 of Cups in reverse. No, they're still going to drop the cup on him. He's not prepared. He thinks he's lied his way through everything. And for me, this card, when it's reversed, means he's going to make some new friends. And there's nothing mysterious about what's happening here. And for him, it's gonna break him. Because he always thinks he can get away with everything. So
the law rules. I got the cops coming for him, and he's going to be brokenhearted and poor.
Mm-hmm.
That's my strength card. It's always about the rule of law to me, and this is what's coming for him.
Mm-hmm.
6 of Cups, everything he did in the past. Then we have the 10 of Swords and Tower together coming upon him. He's going to be brokenhearted with the 5 of Cups. But there's law coming for him with something else with the Knight of Coins. So that kind of feels like there's more indictments coming for him after he loses this. King and Queen of Swords are all my rule of law.
Mm-hmm.
Prosecutor kind of things coming in him. So yeah, he's going to lose this, and there's more coming for him. So, there could be part of the J6, Bannon's
Mhm.
own, like Deanne said. Jack Smith is not done. I don't believe that for a second. The grand juries are still meeting. And it's the same thing with let's see if I have a banner still yet about the man. Yeah, let's look at that.
Okay.
Because Alvin Bragg never brought that case.
No, he's held it.
So, and I think, and it felt like to me, this was a plan to let the New York AG win that case, expose everything, check out perjury and whatnot, and then he can bring it all in because the proof is already there. It's a winnable case. So Alvin Bragg and the Manhattan DA going to bring in the charges that they were going on. I'll just leave that out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was waiting. It was temperance. He was waiting. What kind of choices people made. And he won the jackpot. He got everything he wanted. The world's there. And they're feeling very good about the choice they made. And the 10 of cups right side up or upside down means a yes card. So what it says is the story is they decided to be temperate and wait. And they walked right into the trap. And now he's got the world. So
yeah, this is what I think it was a creative plan to bring down the Trump order.
Mm-hmm.
So my Four of Wands here is like an organization. So it'll be like the Trump order, Tower, the King of Wands with that creative plan. I think that's what they waited on. And then they're going to have a victory coming up with the Six of Wands.
Right.
When I was shuffling, my magician came out. So this was like a master created plan.
Right.
The whole time. So I believe it. Oh, yeah. Let's look at that quick.
Oh, yeah.
Did you read about that? Eric Adams?
I didn't read about it. I just saw the headline.
His aide or whatever, he didn't get indicted or anything. They got his subpoenaed. Now they took his
laptops.
His laptop and 2 phones while he was leaving a campaign thing.
Oh.
They told his security to step aside and went in his SUV or whatever and took his stuff and returned him a few days later. I think the reports are saying they might have been straw donating money or something about the Egyptian consulate or Turkey consulate.
Yeah, foreigners making. Well, then they may have that information since they've been climbing all over Menendez and his.
I think it was Turkey. Menendez is Egypt. I think it had something to do with Turkey. Another.
Too many places for people to be evil and nasty. I'm asking if he's in trouble.
Eric Adams in trouble for this. Eric Adams in trouble. Yeah, Pam. Mayor seems to have gotten straw donor money from Turkey.
Okay. It's ill-gotten money. 6 of Pentacles reversed. And he's part of a plot to deal with that. And it's going to blow up his look and what people think about him. He was not temperate with you doing that, and his out card is it's going to take away his strength. So I think it's going to cost him. That would be a yes and a what's going to happen to him. What'd you get?
Kind of weird energy, like it doesn't feel like it's gonna cost them legally, because I do have my justice card coming out, life purpose, consequence in the end, the whistleblowers and what's coming on about it, but I have the Knight of Cups next to it, and that's like protection. So it gives me the feel that, like he wasn't, on the take, but he knows what was going on.
Right.
That kind of feeling.
You think they're like building up to using him to go to someone else?
I have a King of Wands and a Queen of Swords and the Four of Cups along with this. It gives a sense of a female involved. So there's other players here where you're talking about, working within and trying to make something happen. In my past cards, I have angelic cards, the Knight of Wands, a free spirit, and then the Seven of Cups. So kind of like they wanted to do something for the good, but it was a delusional type of endeavor. It's like they shouldn't have done it, whatever they were trying to do. But it was for ill-gotten gains. But like I said, the way it makes me feel is like he's not going to be judicially, mainly because of that Knight of Cups next to it. If there was like a Five of Swords or something next to the ending here, I'd say, yeah, he's in legal trouble.
Well, they may be catching him in lies if they got the Knight of Cups.
Yeah, there could be lies there, but legally, it's definitely not a good look, and it definitely could look bad for the future. But they're just getting down to the nitty gritty of what happened and went on. But this morning I seen something about the Turkey consulate going in New York or something, or some kind of favors for this consulate. Kind of similar to what Menendez was doing, I guess, except on a lesser scale through donors instead of in Menendez's pocket. Yeah, he seems to be arrogant.
Yes.
Do you want maybe I'll toss again? Did you look at the future or the situation?
About what's going on around the Manhattan?
Sorry. I meant not Manhattan. Sorry. With Adams.
Okay. With the future.
Yeah, let's look at the future, because I was asking about the scenario what happened.
So are we asking if he was set up?
Sure, we could look at that question.
I have a limited brain span, Scott, so you can't have a question in front of me and then ask me something else.
Yeah.
It's like when you do a reading and they start going on and on with all the other questions they're going to ask. You have to tell them, please stop. We do one at a time.
Well, that could be. Debbie said, someone big in the New York real estate wants to undermine the Turkish developer.
Oh.
I think Debbie's from that area.
Okay.
Adams set up.
Yeah, he was set up by two women. And it was to catch him in a trap and end things for him. and there's two women in here. One's a entrepreneur, and then one's a legal person. But the problem is that he's not in control of what they were trying to get a hold of, but it's putting him on the downside of the wheel of fortune. I think he was set up, and they did it on purpose.
Again, I get the Knight of Cups.
Lies.
Yeah. So in the bottom, I get the Devil.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well.
Ill-gotten gains with deeds.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get the 5-7 of Swords, and that's about betrayal and lies and deceit. It'll be shown what actually happened. They'll figure it out with the light, and then I had the 6 of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's things getting better. And then I had that 9 of Cups again. It looks bad now. They're gonna find the money, but then I had the Knight of Cups again. It's all about, you know, good things, good influence, and good proposals, creation. In the end, I have good things again too. The Strength
Mm-hmm.
card, endure with the Strength card. Knight of Wands comes in again. Universal energy is inspired, and then I have the Queen of Wands. There was a strategic plan by a female.
Yep.
So
Which queen did you get?
the wand.
That's what she was one of my two. There's also some woman lawyer who told him it was okay.
Yeah, the first one dropped the Queen of Swords when I first dropped. So I don't get anything about prison time or indictment. I think it's all going to come out in the wash. I'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, it feels like he's set up. But to be in this position, he obviously, why is a 25-year-old head of his campaign?
His fundraising.
His fundraising.
I can tell you because that's one of the first jobs you get going in, and there are people behind that 25-year-old that are helping him get his entrees and picking the checks up and bringing them back to him. That's there's not a lot of people that are older that want to have their name around fundraising in case it goes sideways. That's why. It's not unusual, Debbie.
Oh, good morning, Jane. We all get to sleep in once in a while.
Yeah, I saw that.
It happens.
It's just if Scott and I do it, you're in trouble.
Yeah. There won't be no stream popping up if we do it.
That's right. I'll be sitting here waiting patiently in my computer, but I have Scott's phone number so I can wake him up.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, we checked out Bannon. There was something coming up.
Did you want to do Abbott and DeSatan getting repercussions for transporting immigrants?
Oh, that's right. I didn't start that, did I? I seen it.
It's just above where you've been.
I did see that. I forgot to.
It's at 10:55.
Oh, I missed it. Oh, there it is. Now I just came in with that. There was something else coming up this week that I forgot about, but I wanted to look at it, and mine always.
Trump testifies in New York again.
What's that?
Trump testifies in New York for his own lawyers.
Oh, the defense is coming, but no, there was something else more important than that.
Well, most things are more important than that, but yes.
True, because he's going to lose anyway there.
I may clean out my refrigerator. I think that's more important than that. So.
I need to over sleeping clothes. Okay. Abbott and DeSatan for the migrant cyber industry.
I like these cards. Ooh, I really like these cards. What's the ending? Oh, I really like these cards. I'm glad we asked. This is the Eight of Cups, and that means these are people being moved. I mean, they're going from one place to another. And they spent, I can tell you why Abbott's in trouble in Texas. He spent our state money when they claim we don't have money for stuff. And they thought they were running the show and they're going to throw it on these cities, but it's really caused a lot of hurtful, hateful speech against them. And we're going to get our wish. That's the Nine of Cups with doing the little Mexican hat dance there. I think it's going to come. I think it's going to come under, kidnapping laws or misusing people.
I think it's going to happen when they're about done with their office,
Yeah.
kind of feeling. Not like it's going to happen right away, kind of feeling.
Yeah, but see, Abbott doesn't go up again for 3 years because he was elected in the last cycle, and then he does 4 years in that seat, and all the other state offices are turned over into the state Senate, state house.
Right. But then you got
But Paxton's going to be cooling his heels in Houston, talking to the FBI they couldn't get hold of before. They managed to keep him at bay for 7 years.
They got the Four of Swords in the end, Five of Wands, and the Page of Wands. So it's like it doesn't feel like they're going to be hit right away.
No, but I think they are going to, in the long term, people realize what they did and it was wrong, wrong, wrong.
Oh, yeah. I see it happening, what they did in the past, their karma and what they did. Six of Cups, Wheel of Fortune, Page of Cups. What they did is going to come back to haunt them. But like I said, I'm getting that sense it's going to be down the road. It's like not like, like you said with
not like tomorrow. It's not like tomorrow.
No, you said like with Paxton, it took 7-8 years to finally justice to start knocking on his door. But yeah, the judgment will come upon them. They got the money trail, the judgment upon them, and the movement.
Mm-hmm.
Six of Coins, Judgment, and Two of Swords. But like I said, the sense and what the cards are showing me, it's not like it's going to be a long process, and it feels like more later towards when they're done with their term. Because the Satan was voted in at the same time, wasn't he? He still got
the Satan's got the other problem. He's got the feds looking at his wife who collected all that money during the hurricane, saying her charity would handle it faster, and now no one can find out where it went. So maybe she doesn't have a bank account like the Speaker of the House.
Oh, that's what it was. Before we go, we should look at the.
Are they going to pass a budget this week?
That's what we need, a budget by the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And what
they said they're going to do something on it on Tuesday.
Well, what he's proposed, nothing's going to happen.
I know, they're just going to freeze. Everything's going to go on like it was. Okay, so what are we going to do? The budget,
what do they call it? Is it just the budget?
Yeah, it's just just the budget. It's the thing that keeps the government going.
Yeah, the government going.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even talking about aid much anymore. But Johnson put together this crazy plan that's never going to fly.
We got that plan, and then after that, Scott, and I'm going to do what people always do to us and give you another question.
Hello.
Supposedly the Senate's going to move on Tuberville and J.D. Vance and stop them. They now know they have the 9 Republican votes to shut down their thing.
We knew it was going to come to a head at some point, but unfortunately it took so long. They need that 60 vote to get rid of those fools.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're doing the budget now, right?
Yeah,
Will it
November,
go?
we
Will some
need
kind
to
of budget?
we need to fund the government by the 17th. Will it happen before?
Okay, what will happen?
My senses don't feel so good about it happening on time.
Well, it's Sync thinks your senses are right. I've got no. I got death reverse. No, no movement. 6 of Pentacles reverse. No, no money. The High Priestess, even she can't shake their little butts. But then it's not going to last very long because then I have the 3 of Pentacles where they come to some sort of agreement. And it's backed up by the 6 of Swords, which means something's going to come out with the take no prisoners mentality against them. But we're going to have no budget for a couple days beyond the 17th.
Yeah, I kind of feel like 5 to 10 days we're going to be shut down. The disaster on the funding, and then I have here's a shutdown. 5 of Coins. So I got the 5 and I got the 10s. So 5 to 10 days probably. I do have the plan there. The Biden administration feels like they're going to try to work some things while it is shut down. Whatever they can do without the budget. But we got nothing working right with the House and Johnson. I got a losing delusion for him. Johnson's coming in as the Knight of Coins, the illusions, and he's just traveling, not carrying the world.
He's traveling to a conservative leadership, international conservative leadership conference.
But yeah, it doesn't feel like there's enough time to get it done, and which is nuts because what does that do?
It's 3 times more expensive to restart everything again.
His big talk yesterday on Twitter I seen was he's blaming Biden. That they don't want to work with the Democrats and
Well, they don't want to work with the Democrats. So what? They got to. I mean, the unfortunate part of this is that they have to.
Pretty much. Oh, that's right. Did you hear the QAnon?
No.
The QAnon shaman's running for Congress.
Arizona. Well, he's running in a party that is bankrupt. So unless his mom, whose basement apparently he lived in or whatever, who fought for him to have his vegan food. And I'm not picking on vegans. I'm just saying. I mean, it seemed awfully convenient. Mom shows up and says, "You can't starve my little baby."
I don't know if it's true or not, but it got put in together. But Debbie Lesko is retiring. And I think it was reported he's in the same district as her and is running for her seat, I think. And she's a horrible person. So it's a pretty safe Republican area, but it's still like, wow.
No, they're every once in a while on Midas Touch, they do a show where they read letters from people who have seen the light and come over to the blue. So if you listen to some of those, and this one guy said, I had the hat, I had the whole thing, I believed all this stuff, and then I got spoken to by an old friend, and I started thinking about what he was saying, and your camera's going weird.
Yep, I switched cameras.
So are we going to read on do we have to read on that clown?
No, I don't really want to. We'll let that play out, but it's just crazy. You can't vote, right? You can't vote for yourself, but you can run for Congress.
Run.
No, he's out. He served his 27 months behind bars, and Jacob Tansley is out. I guess he's doing a podcast.
Why not? Everybody else does one.
Why? Well, they're not. The GOP's not putting up. He just announced he's running. So I'll get rid of this banner.
Okay. You can, I don't know how it is in every state because we have all sorts of different ways you can get on ballots, but trust me, in Texas, if the Republican Party doesn't want someone on the ticket, they can make sure they go away.
Yeah. Wisconsin, you got to get enough signatures, and you're in, and a fee, I'm sure. All right, we're already at an hour and 45, so let's bring in some inspiration and let folks get on with their day.
What's your week look like, Scott?
I'm going to be busy.
Busy work.
Yesterday, I had my granddaughter's first birthday party.
Oh, cool.
And I'm helping my other daughter move. She got a house. So I'm taking a day off on Wednesday to help her move. Work's always busy. It's Thanksgiving time of year. We're delivering turkeys. So I'm just going to be super busy.
Okay. Well, I'm doing my usual thing on Tuesday. I am doing 12-month readings right now. So if you want, and I have several books, and I can only do so many of those in a day. So if you really want a 12-month reading, it's November, December. You can go to my website, www.crystaldirections.com. And I'm getting ready to start a new 9 candles thing. It's going to start December 12th. And it's going to go to the solstice. And it's going to be about the blue flames of pulses of energy that are coming into the earth. We had one a week ago, Saturday. This Saturday we didn't. A week from today, we have a pulse coming in. And a week Saturday, we have another pulse coming in. And we have a new moon tomorrow. So, what's your pulse?
Oh, the Queen of Raphael.
Oh.
About following your heart.
Mm-hmm.
The love of home and family. Being in your own community, keeping that tight-knit group. And trusting your psychic information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, then I have the 7 of coins also. And that's all, it's kind of like about investing and whatnot, plucking your, but what I'm sensing here is, and feeling, is like plucking your tribe. It's not about finances and whatnot. It's more about plucking your tribe and keeping the people you want in your circle.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings your sense of more of home and family.
Right.
That's what it's feeling. It's not like finances. It just feels like plucking your tribe message today.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got.
So I got the wild elementals, and I pulled for us the frog. The frog is singer of songs, transformation, cleansing, understanding our emotions, and rebirth. When the frog hops into your life, you're being nudged to actively look for opportunities for transitions. You may be facing some of life's tougher challenges. The frog's lessons will help you swim through these changes with grace and ease. Awakening that accompanies these changes will also bring great abundance into your life. Alternatively, the frog medicine is also is symbolic of coming into your power. This is done by purifying the soul, releasing emotional baggage, coming from a place of personal integrity. The frog is telling you to make all of your choices based on what's best for you. So, go to frog. And otherwise, let's see anything else happening that's fun. I'm going to teach tarot again in January, but you'll have plenty of time to hear about that. Yeah, T. Jones says she's kissed more than a few of those in her life, and they were always transforming situations, let me tell you. Especially when you realize, I just kissed a frog, yuck. And I hope you guys enjoyed meeting Sean. He does talk. That's what he does.
No, that's great. Because I gotta. It gives me a little inspiration. I've been busy, but I'm supposed to call back my local Oregon Progressive group that does look thing and meetings. So, but I've been so busy, I haven't called back yet to get involved and see what they do.
As an organizer, we understand what the holidays do to everybody's schedules, but working local, because you can actually meet the people and see what's going on, and there's a whole lot of stuff going on around me locally that's real interesting. So, and I've talked to them. And let's see, I'm trying to think if there's, oh, yes, if you're looking for a nice holiday gift for someone, I'm doing grids. I built this one yesterday. Well, actually, I feel sorry for this lady. I read her a month ago, and I just finally built the grid because every time I went to build that grid, I got sick. And I didn't take it personally. I just realized I just didn't have the energy. And then yesterday, I woke up and it's like the clouds parted and the sun shot down, and I felt better. So I'm feeling much better than I have been. So
beautiful.
Doing readings, doing show. The show will be Tuesday. I may do a past life show on Thursday, not sure. And I'm on every week with Jeffrey. I read the garden every week. So
right, beautiful. Everyone have a blessed day. And
everyone have a good day.
Thanks to Sean for showing up and giving us some good information.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.